Wilder folks, Alicia here. This is a second video in a 4-part series on how to get ready for ski season, aka winter. Here at Wilder, we use the Adventure Ready model, and this video specifically is about working on the power you need to get the most out of your ski season. If you haven't met me before, my name is Alicia Williams. I am an avid skier, an ex-ski racer, and a CPT through the Canadian Society for Exercise Physiology. Wilder offers 8-week programs to get you ready for adventures of all kinds, but the one most specific to this video would be our 8-week Ski Ready program. We have an uphill and a downhill version, and you can complete them prior to ski season or even at the beginning of your season. This video is going to focus on my top 6 power movements that are going to translate onto the slopes. And we are going to talk about what they look like, how to complete them properly, and then the best way to incorporate them into your training. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, the first exercise we're going to talk about today is our single leg lateral jump ups and plyo jump ups. We talk about these lateral jump ups in our stability video because the landing is a super stability demanding. And so I'm going to focus on the plyo jumps today because they are more power based. For plyo jump ups, you want to start on a raised platform. You're going to jump down onto the ground. Pretend that ground is lava, so you're going to have a very short, quick contact time with the ground, and then jump up onto a higher surface. Now there's tons of ways you can play around with this movement, but there's some safety things you want to think about and some technique things you want to focus on. For safety, you never want to jump off of something that you don't feel confident jumping onto. And that's because we want to make sure that we're not overloading our tendons and connective tissues with our plyometric loading. Plyo loading puts an amazing amount of force through our muscles, tendons, and ligaments, and so we need to be fully warm before we execute these exercises. Now, here's how you can play around with it. No matter what exercise or combo that you're doing, you want to make sure that your knees are tracking well over your second outside toe, and you are staying strong and stable in the torso without excessive bending at the waist on landing and takeoff. If you're having trouble keeping those knees out, and video can be a good cue for this, you can video your exercise and see, tie a band, just simple banding, physio banding around just above your knees, and that's going to give you just some sensory input to keep those knees tracking the way they need to. Now, here's the play around part. You can get very creative once you conquer the basics of these jumps. You could do a 90-degree takeoff and a 90-degree landing. You could do 3 jumps in a row instead of 2. You could set up, basically, creativity is your only limiter. However, you want to make sure you're not doing more than 6 jumps before you stop so that you are actually focusing on developing power with this set of exercises. Our second exercise is hang power cleans. Now, hang power cleans are very difficult to do well. Cleaning is in itself its own Olympic event, and people spend decades trying to perfect it. Instead of using this exercise as a sport in and of itself, we are focusing on the part of it that develops the most power so that we can translate that onto the slopes. Starting with a barbell, a broomstick to start off with if you haven't done it with weight before, or a set of dumbbells. What you want to do is get into your start position. This should be just above the knee. You need to have tension in your hamstrings, a tall, strong torso, and shoulders pulled back down your back. From there, you want to, without moving down, just moving up, you want to push through your toes and heels at the same time to extend those hips, get that weight moving up, and then you're going to dip slightly down below to catch. Now, there is a whole nother video on how to properly execute your hang power cleans because it's a very complicated exercise. But if you are not ready for hang power cleans just yet, you can use a dumbbell and complete the modified version I've got on the screen here for you to start with. Our third exercise to work on power for skiing is our rear foot elevated split squat jumps. All about the long names, so many long names. This exercise is great because it is getting us into a very compressed position and then focusing on power through our entire range of motion without adding any load necessarily. What you want to do is get set up 3 steps away from a box, and from there you're going to place your back foot onto the box or step. You'll then, keeping your torso tall, lower with stability and strength and smoothness into your lower position where your knee is just barely grazing the ground. We do not want to unweight here, so you want to keep that knee off the ground and floating. From there, you're going to power up through that front leg and then lift that front leg off the ground and tuck it up underneath your hips. When you're doing this exercise, that back leg should be floating. So we don't want to, if you're feeling a lot of action through your hip flexors in the back, then you need to shuffle around a bit and focus on your front leg doing the work here. Our 5th exercise to work on power for skiing is our front squat into a knee lift. You can do this one with a very light load to begin with and then start to add a little load as you get better at it. It's another tough one though. So moving slowly into your front squat position, you want your elbows high, torso tall, so that whatever load you are carrying is held on your shoulders, not in front of your shoulders. From there, you're going to power out of the bottom. And when you get to the top of the movement, without shifting your hips very much, you're going to drive one knee up to the ceiling, then land in a stable position. If you are shifting a lot on takeoff, it might mean you need to lower the load, or you need to do these unloaded for a few reps in order to get the patterning correct. Our final exercise is another one that we can work on from the stability category as well. It was our air squat into jump and hold. However, when we're doing these for power, we can increase the amount of weight we're using, and from there, we can do a smaller number of reps and a larger amount of rest in between each set. Now that you know those top 6 exercises, let's talk about how to incorporate power into your training. When you're working on power development, speed of movement is incredibly important. For that reason, you might want to use slightly lower amounts of weight than you would use for strength training, and you also need to make sure that you're not doing more than 6 reps. If you can do more than 6 reps, you're not actually working on the power component of your muscular development. So when working on power, you want to complete 1 to 6 at a max reps of an exercise, and then you actually want to rest 3 to 8 times the amount of time it took you to do that exercise before you begin again. If we don't rest long enough, we're not allowing the neural and physiological recovery to actually happen at the muscle level, and you won't be working on power anymore. You also need to choose a weight that you can lift with speed. So if you're finding the weight that you've chosen causes a sticking point at a certain part of the movement, or if you have to move quite slow or it takes a long time to get started, then again, we're not working on our power development, so you need to lower that weight. So I would love it if you incorporated these power movements into your program to get ready for ski season. If you'd like an 8-week program made for you and optimized for downhill skiing, then check out the link below. Otherwise, I hope you have a wilder winter, and we'll see you in the next video.